You guys, I'm like so lame. You know, when I was younger, I had like big paranoias about snakes. How cliche is that? And the Alfred Hitchcock paranoia, cops in the rearview mirror. And now it's like I sleep like a baby until that first beep, 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 goddamn backup noise comes on, you know, in my neighborhood, and I start worrying about like all the stuff we all worry about, that I balance my checkbook right and all that. I get into that like thing. But in my book, I talk about a great Norman Mailer war story with a snake kill that like freaked me out for years. Snake poison, pus, death, tropical World War II, and much younger than that, I accidentally walked into an afternoon matinee with the beautiful Irish mother in the station wagon and dropped the boys off. We were 8 and 9 years old for a birthday party at a matinee. We all walked in to see an Anthony Quinn Western about the old gunfighter who couldn't draw against all the young guys that were after him again. And instead of that movie, we all sat down with our hot buttered organic popcorn before anybody knew the word organic, and our Chico's bonbons that I could throw at this girl right here and hit her on the back of the neck. And we sat down ready to terrorize the 11-year-old girls, and the movie was The Bad Seed. The opening of the movie, a blonde 11-year-old girl with pigtails takes off her tap shoes with a half-moon tap and beats the end of the picture in summer camp at the end of the season during the awards ceremony because she lost the penmanship award. And Claudie Daigle, the little boy who won the penmanship award, his hands fall off the pier and he drowns in a circle of bubbles beneath the surface as Rhoda Pennington, the pigtailed girl, watches him die. And me and my 9-year-old friend sat there with our hot buttered popcorn like this. Freaked me out. Every time I saw a girl with pigtails, hey, what's the Swedish, help me. The Swedish. What? No, the Swedish.
Pippi Longstocking.
Pippi goddamn Longstocking. Every time I saw those girls, and there were lots of them, in their mini skirts and their Pendleton shirts, freaked this cowboy out. Okay, so that stuff scared me. Now we can go into other stuff. I mean, you know, what's the wonderful sci-fi movie? Oh my God, come on, help me out now. No, kids, I'm old. Children, I'm an old man here. No, Robbie the Robot. The Monster from the Id. Now, we had no pause button. We had no replay. We would have to go out at night and camp in the backyard with a transistor radio, listening to 50s and early 60s rock and roll, and ask each other, what was the monster from the Id? One of the first early exercises in animated CGI, post-production, and of course it was a saber-toothed tiger. But it took us 10 viewings at the Saturday matinee to figure that out. Like standing in line behind everybody and you had to measure off with your lunch pail, you know, with like Lee Majors on it, and you had to like measure off. And you go, did you see Donna's on last night? How to serve man. It was a menu. How to serve man. Get it? And this was this whole thing we had back in those days. And so those were the early elemental scares of yours truly. I think it's the same now. And I think this, you know, memory, and you guys are all kids, but memory plays tricks on you as you get older. And nostalgia enters the equation. And I think for me, it's actually Wes Craven's New Nightmare. Now I know the scariest film is part one, and I know that the audiences universally love the one you guys saw tonight. But the one you saw tonight on a double bill with cold pizza and beer with Nightmare 4 is a great goddamn double bill. But I love part 7 because Wes Craven, pre-Scream and post-Sam Raimi, really deconstructed horror, made fun of me, made fun of himself, made fun of Bob Shea, made fun of Heather, teased us all, and he was saying to everybody sitting here today, before you guys have the power from Expo, and before you guys have the power of Comic-Con, before you guys have the power of 20 years of successful graphic comic books, novels, and other horror films, both cult, both low budget and big budget, and 18. Before that, Wes Craven was saying to you, I acknowledge you guys, I love you guys, I know you're smart, I know you're onto my tricks, I know you know, that we know, that you know, we know, but I'm still going to pull the goddamn rug out from under you. I'm still going to scare you, and I'm still going to please you. And that's why I love Nightmare 7 the best. And it holds up, by the way, it holds up. Well, the single weirdest is in my book, Hollywood Monster. The single weirdest thing I ever saw is Nancy and I, my wife, who's somewhere out there. And I know it's Psycho and Freud. And she and Heather could be sisters. It's really sick. I'm sorry. But Nancy and I are in Russia. And this is just before Glasnost and all of this. And we get a private VIP tour of Catherine the Great's summer house. And it's like every art test you've ever had to take, every art appreciation class you've ever had to take, every painting you've ever seen in a goddamn book is in this museum. And it's an old Russian woman, right, with 3 tiers of fat and a cigarette burning down to her knuckles, leaning back in the chair, and the smoke is discoloring a Chagall or a Picasso. And we have the whole place to ourselves. And Nancy and I can't believe it. It's phenomenal. And we walk out, and then we see where Catherine the Great had her Sweet 16 party. And it's a Chinese pagoda on a canal built when the Russians were into the discovery of China. Marco Polo, the discovery of China. And this was trendy. Anything Chinese, chinois, was trendy. And so on the way back from that, there's a kiosk, a little kiosk for the tourists. There's no tourists to get my way out. And we see in the window, through the dirt on the window, because it's closed down, we see hanging these tourist kids. And they're pill containers, because the Russians, at this moment of time, were just ready to break free from all the crap in Russia. And they're very fond of valeting. Because it's relaxing. And the Russians are a little tight, you know what I mean? This is your butt, you know what I'm saying? And on the pill container is my image. And it says, take one and I'll come for you. It's surreal. Absolutely surreal.
I have to go to this glove hand thing. How you doing? You were the boy
damaged, and then I'm looking at your sweater too.
So it wasn't until I got older that a character, someone you could scare me that much, than how badass that was. So I was wondering if you wouldn't mind drawing the glove and signing my copy of Iron
Oh, am I getting?
Ask him a real question.
In the lobby, and you gotta find a really good white wine. Next.
What was your first reaction when you found out you were going to be squaring off against Jason Voorhees?
Here's the thing, you guys, and listen to me. We can bust Hollywood up and down and left and right, and east and west and north and south. But let me tell you guys something. In the 30s, in the Depression, in America, in North America, up here too, kids sat around with their kind of Johnny Depp haircuts, you know, because they couldn't afford to get a cut a lot. And they said, "You did." So like if like the Wolfman, you know, ran into Frankenstein in an alley, like who would win? And then goddamn Frankenstein versus the Wolfman. Oh, excuse me, Frankenstein is the Wolfman, right? Politically correct. This has been around forever, you guys. In 1984, I got invited to do the Thanksgiving parade in Sacramento, the sort of bogus capital of California. Think Arnold Schwarzenegger. Anyway, I'm up there for the NBC. You guys have NBC up here. You guys watch Leno and Dave Letterman. NBC is Leno. So I'm at the NBC goddamn parade, and I'm on the float because I'm Willie, right? I'm Willie from Anyway, so I'm up there, and a guy comes up to me after the ceremony, after the Thanksgiving parade, our Thanksgiving holiday, and he asks me for, and he pulls his shirt off, and he has a full Japanese mafia yakuza knee, elbow, torso, Japanese tattoo, full ink of Freddie Grappling and Jason. So like, dude, so like if Jason got asleep, like who would win? This is not something that we thought of. You thought of it. We heard it a lot in the fan mail, and we made the movie. And so it was a long time coming, and it took a Hong Kong director like Ronnie Yu to really make it crazy comic book fun. Okay, that's it. That's the whole end of the story. I didn't pray. I didn't prepare. I just got on board. Got on board the challenge of the makeup. My trust in Wes Creighton, a genius. And at some point, you guys got to understand how David Miller had just done Thriller. Right? Pretty good stuff. I said, go out to David's San Fernando Valley house. And I'm sitting in a retro antique barber's chair. And I'm doing the makeup tests for Freddie. And I'm looking at these like burn photos, you know, from the Veterans Administration. Guys like in Vietnam that were torched, right? So I'm looking at this shit and it's like I'm vomiting practically in the bathroom. And we're creating the makeup. And I'm watching it develop in the latex tests. And finally we get it kind of resolved and we're putting it on. There was a little more drippy phalanges at that time because they wanted the backlight drips off my ear and stuff, as opposed to the chewed ear, which I like as the metaphor, kind of like the dogs of hell, you know, that nipped at Freddie, you know, on his way to hell. I didn't quite get there. He wound up in Purgatory, messing around with all the kids for the next 6 sequels. But anyway, and I'm looking in the mirror, and my prep happened then. After 4 hours of makeup and tests and itchy, and colostomy bag, Frank Sinatra glue all over me. Like, oh, it's Mia Farrow, I'm booking. Anyway, so I'm doing this, and oh, thank you. I thought the adult laughs. Anyway, and so I'm like working, and I'm looking in the mirror, and that's when it starts to happen. And I'm looking at the creation and colors and the blends that David Miller's doing, and eventually the genius Kevin Yeager as well. And then I'm looking in the mirror, and I have all that time, and I have like Good Morning America or AM Saskatchewan. You guys choose one. And I'm walking, and it's early in the morning, you know, and people are going to come look at it. And that's when I kind of found Freddie. And in part was just the discomfort. I used the discomfort. And then later on, about 2 or 3 weeks into the shoot, I'm sitting in the Desi Blue Studios in Hollywood, and I'm next to the two most beautiful people in America. Johnny Depp, who's like a cherub Elvis, and Heather Langenkamp, who is a bite-sized Brooke Shields. Brooke's, you know, model size, and Heather, boys, we can flip her. She's a spinner. They're on either side of me. But here's the thing. I'm a 32-year-old actor, and they're basting me with KY jelly. And I'm real itchy. Johnny Depp, who's never needed makeup in his life, and Heather Langenkamp, who's more beautiful than Brooke Shields, they have fans, personal fan assistants. With like those little tiny fans, you guys have known those little pussy fans, you know? Like they need makeup, and I went, you know, God damn it, my career's over. My career's over. And I envied them, and I was mad at them, and I envied them. I envied their beauty, and I envied their youth, and I envied their gifts, because I saw, not only did I see it, but my ex-girlfriend said he's going to be a star, about Johnny Depp. And Heather, exquisite, and I envied it. I said, oh, hey, I can use this. As an actor, Freddie hates beauty. Freddie hates youth. Freddie never had that. Freddie wants to punish Johnny Depp. And that's where I found how to play it. That's the psychological jump. Because I'm not a method actor, but that's the little leap I made. Guys, first we got to understand something. New Line made a mistake. They're not bad people. They're not bad. They weren't bad Hollywood. They never had a hit. They never had a hit. They were doing old Liv Ullmann movies. You want to have an abortion? I don't know. I'm too old. I'm Swedish. I don't know. So they didn't know. They had no idea. They marketed it wrong. They went too young with the marketing. They weren't bad people. They made a mistake. Merchandising in those days was for kids, you know, crappy early Transformers shit. You know, come on. So, guys, so it wasn't like it was an intentional thing. So I don't offer any apologies to that. It was a mistake. That's, you know, it was a mistake.
I think it's great. Let's go with this.
Okay, I have to ask you about some of the questionable sub-themes in part 2.
Well, no, part 2. What's your name?
Andreas.
Andreas. Listen to me. Part 2, we were ahead of the curve. We all knew what we were doing. Guys, listen to me. I had phenomenal gay roommates in the 70s with my girlfriend. And my girlfriend wrote Lost Boys, and she recently passed away. Back then, you know, this is a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. And one of my roommates was the director of the fabulous Claire Danes show, My So-Called Life. And these were great people. And every night we would go out and see old movies in the 30s and the 40s and the 50s. We would go out and see the Hammer films, and we would go out and see, oh, you know what we loved? I mean, I hate to admit this, Stone. Dr. Fives, Vincent Price. Okay, so that's who we were there. But we knew, all of us working on Nightmare 2, that it had this Jungian, Freudian subtext of the lead boy, Mark Patton, was bi. Now, yeah, guys, now we look back on that and we handle it very subtly. And you guys, this movie went off the goddamn charts in Europe because they were ready to accept it as, yeah, those are our friends. Those can be our roommates in a dorm. It could be my brother or my sister. They're part of the thing, and whoa, guess who wants to get in there and mess with it? Freddie! Whoa, yeah! I'll mess with it. And so I'm really proud that now the intellectual critics, called Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2 the first gay horror film. And there was that wonderful thing with Susan Sarandon, and come on, we all like that. Ooh, come on, guys. How many people want to see young Susan Sarandon kiss Catherine? Raise your hand. Okay. All right. Okay. Let's not be hypocritical here. But the thing is, that movie is a first, and it's a healthy first, and it's a righteous first. And Europe picked up on it. Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2 made so much money in Europe that this cowboy got to do 2 or 3 movies over there the next year because of that film. And Mark Patton, who played the lead in that movie, did a great performance in a classic diva bitch film by Robert Altman, Come Back to the Father Now, Jimmy Dean, with Cher and Sandy Dennis, who worked for me in 976 Evil, and lots of other wonderful people. And if you ever want to get that on Netflix, kids, it's a hoot. All right.
You there, near the edge. Yeah, here. Do the hat.
All right. A couple of weeks ago, I watched Big Wednesday.
Oh,
Yeah, which I'd never seen before. Man. I was trying to see it. It's a brilliant film.
Fuck yes.
I was wondering what your personal favorite film that's not where you didn't play Freddy is.
guys, I've been in, I've been hanging out with Lance Henriksen. And Lance is my god. And Lance has done like 150 movies. And I'm just approaching 80. And I'm gonna tell you something. And I've done a lot of horror movies, but I've done a lot of other movies. And you guys are all kids here, and I worked with Jeff Bridges and Cedric Field and Emily Fonda and Susan Sarandon and Joanna Cassidy from Blade Runner and Ed Begley Jr. and Peter Strauss and Martin Sheen and all these people in the 70s. Before I was ever in horror, and I'm fine with the horror thing. I'll tell you why. Because I found you guys.
Yeah.
I found a younger generation. And not only you here, but Europe. It opened the door for me because horror, like action movies and science fiction, speaks the universal language of film. You guys, right now, I could take, I don't know how many people, I'm going to say there's 400 people here, 500 people here. I could take 300 of you right now and drop you in Paris, and you would see people just like you.
Yes,
Or in London. No, let me tell you, you guys, you got to trust me here. It's that universal language of film. There's this universal thing. Not everybody knows who Jay Leno is or Jennifer Aniston, but they love horror. They all know Rutger Hauer. They all know Blade Runner. They all know Freddy Krueger. They all know The Exorcist. They all know Interview with the Vampire. They all know Twilight. They all know, you guys, they all know action. They all know, whether you like Jean-Claude Van Damme or Jason Statham or Bourne Identity. Love that. And guys, it's this universal language. You're all the same on this level. This sort of action, horror, fantasy, sci-fi level. We're all in bed together. This is the big link. Not bicycles. Bicycles are great. Not everywhere is flat. Bicycles are great. But this is the big link, guys. This is our link. And translated literature, Stephen King, whatever, you know. It's all this stuff is good. And so that's that common denominator we got to observe. No, guys, here's what you got to understand. And listen, no, you guys got to hear me now. And you got to understand the truth. This is the truth. I'm a Hollywood boy. I'm a Hollywood boy. Born in the hills of Hollywood. I understand there's only so many stories to be told around the campfire. You guys, you know, we hear the old joke, boy meets girl, boy loses girl, boy meets boy, whatever. Boy meets girl, there's only so many goddamn stories. Boy kills mother, you know. Anthony Perkins, come on down. Anyway, the guys, there's just certain, the Greeks knew this. The Greeks knew this. So, Hollywood has always remade their movies. Before anybody in this theater was born, Hollywood had made everything they'd ever made before. From the teens and the 20s and the 30s. And we will always do this. And I'm not going to bust you, I'm not going to complain about you, but there's people that you all know that won't watch a black and white movie. And there's people that you know that watch Avatar on a phone. They should go to fucking hell. Because there are some really great movies made before you were born. You know what I hate now? Here's the big line in America. Oh, I don't care. It was before I was born. No. Look, I'm not that old. I'm old, but guys, in the late 70s, we all had a revival pushed in by the phone. Oh, remember telephones? But highlighted. Remember highlighting? Guys, but we would know that on any given weekend, we could see a double bill of Assault on Precinct 13. Right? And The Thing. And then the original Thing. And we did it. And then we did it even further back. We watched stuff from the 30s and 40s. Guys, there's great stuff from the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Tarantino is mining this stuff. Great, crazy stuff. It's like trickling into our back of our brains. That you need to see. It's like, and you know what? It's an hour out of your life. It's 90 minutes out of your life. Netflix it. Go to our Bible theater in downtown Toronto. You see it, and it's like reading a book. It's reading a book. You know why? Because we're post-millennial now. But movies were the literature of the 20th century. So instead of having to read Alexandre Dumas, Three Musketeers, you guys can now watch a half a dozen movies and catch up. Catch up. If you haven't seen Straw Dogs, you're fucked. On the aisle.
I was going to ask you, you've worked with a lot of great independent filmmakers. We had here in Toronto Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Burton. You've worked with some other things, Jack Brooks' Monster Slayer, another great film.
By the way, can I do a parenthetical? Don't sit down yet, but Trevor Matthews has moved his production company to LA. He needs option one of the most extraordinary stories, Street Soldier. How many people here have seen The Departed? The Jack Nicholson character hires assassins, and Trevor Matthews, Ottawa, producer, Steve McQueen, Canadian, Welsh heritage, has the script. He does, and he's unbelievable, you guys. Brook Street Films. Okay, go ahead.
I was going to say, can you tell us about your relationship with independent filmmakers? I think it's terrific that you work with.
Here's what happened to me. And guys, I'm not altruistic. I'm not a saint. I did a reality show, an early reality show that I believed in 2004 called Real, R-E-E-L, ooh, get it? Nightmares. And what we did was we took all these nightmares when you go all over North America, and the ones that were really sick, we went and explored. So I would be, imagine me now in Toronto. We found somebody who has a really bad dream, okay, and they told us about it, right, and so now I'm walking down Bloor Street, and I turn off into an alley, and I walk down, and I'm beautifully lit from behind, looks like I have more hair than I do. And I'm walking down the alley in a really cool black suit, tight black jeans, and I hop over the back fence, and I walk into your car, and knock on your door. You open the door and I say, hello, my name is Robert Englund. I understand this. Then I went inside and they told me their nightmare. Now wait. And I was sort of like faux shrink, right? Very nice, very attentive. Hopefully my bald spot's covered. Now we love these people. We flew them back to LA. We spent $1 million recreating it. Produced by the guy that produces Penn and Teller's bullshit. Phenomenal. You know why you never saw it? Because we couldn't get the legal clearance on these people. Because halfway through the scene, where the kid is walking in knee-deep brown water in an underground canal with lots of sexual tubes and pipes in them, and there's a man following that grabs him from behind and realizes, oops, it's his stepfather. We can't get clearance. I spent a year of my life doing this movie. Let me tell you guys, the girl from Alabama who had a clown fantasy, we put her in a 1910 mansion in downtown ghetto LA. Right? She knew what she was getting. We hired the Jim Rose Circus as psycho clowns. That was her fear. She went into the bathroom to pee and get ready for work. And in the bathtub, under 6 or 7 inches of, what's the Swedish vampire movie? Help me. Let the right one in, vampire plasma. Sits up a Captain Howdy clown. She opens a medicine cabinet. A Jim Rose Circus psycho. Heath Ledger clown. And this girl looked like Shelley Duvall. It's everything you want in a reality show. But we couldn't get those little things. I spent a year of my life on this show. This was what I thought television should be. Don't call me stupid. Anyway, that's what I was doing.
Left hand there in the middle. Yep.
Robert, you guys the audience, as a hardcore fan, I have to ask this, man. Is there any chance?
Nice sweater.
Is there any chance of your hardcore fans ever seen him put back on?
No, you guys gotta understand something. My people, my peeps, who like cinema, got absorbed by Turner and Warner's, and then that went to Michael Bay. Explosions. No, guys, listen to me. I'm not a bad guy. He's not a bad guy. We don't have to love everything he does. No, guys, listen, just gotta be. Guys, stuff regenerates and mutates and changes. Here's the thing, and I'm not apologizing for it, I'm just saying this is the nature of the world. Guys, I made one of the biggest paychecks of my life during our remake, Phantom of the Opera. We tried to make a kind of hammer film, and or before that, I did a remake of Star is Born, the 8th remake of Star is Born with Barbara Streisand, Chris Christopherson broke my nose. The last look you guys get their goddamn phones out. Quick, quick, quick! You'll see my nose again this week. Anyway, you guys, no, I broke it again. But here's the thing. That stuff happens, and stuff changes, and Hollywood does remakes and sequels because you guys love characters, And let me tell you, I watched Hannah last night at the Royal Goddamn New York. That's a good movie. It fell through the cracks. A lot of good movies fall through the cracks, so they will make sequels, always. And they will respin stuff because you're familiar with it and it's been branded. I'm not saying this is right, I'm not saying it's always right, I'm not saying their timing is right, but this is why they do it, because there are really good movies that are made that don't catch on. And we all know them. We love the cult stuff. We should just say, oh, we're so cool, we're so cult, you know, because we love May by Lucky McKee. Or we like some other movie. That movie should have been supported the first time it came out. See what I'm saying? And we have to embrace that. I have a vampire in my pocket. No, you know what happened is I saw Klaus Kinski's Nosferatu. And I really liked it. And I was in my Stephen King phase, guys. And I don't know how many of you read Salem's Lot. And maybe, perhaps, that's really right for a remake. Okay, big budget. I always thought it was Fish Out of Water. I always thought it was a New York Jew who goes to crappy, goddamn, antique collecting gay Connecticut. And they're all vampires. And they lay at night beneath the Victorian houses in the mud, and they sperm, and they push the cold mud over. Because they're fucking vampires. I love that. I love it. What's the best thing about that book? And why I want to do that? I want to play the reality of it. I want to be theatrical. But here's the reality. I want to walk up to a beautiful girl I hypnotize. And I want a little plug of hair. And I'm going to do my sit-ups. And you guys can spray paint some abs on your CGI. And I want to walk up to a girl. And I want to caress her right under her breast. And I want to pull her towards me. And just before I bite her neck, I want her to smell my 500-year-old breath. That's Stephen King. That's Salem's Lot.
Wave your arms. Yeah, I can see one guy waving that quick his arms. Yell it out, man.
What would you say is your favorite movie you did that many of us may not have seen? Like, what's your favorite hidden gem of your entire career?
You guys, here's what I just like. Now I know with hindsight, I'd love you to watch my 5-bank pool shot in Stay Hungry, directed by Bob Rafelson, starring Jeff Bridges. That's real. That's not CGI. I did that on my second take. And also in that same movie, there's 2 great fight scenes. My fight scene, where I take the most glorious punch to the nuts in the world. No, it's a really good fight scene because it's all actors, there's no stuntmen. And Jeff Bridges also has a great, and I gave Jeff Bridges one of my bits, was to jump over these stairs and hold himself up in the stairwell. And Jeff did it way better than I could do it. But I gave him that bit because he saw me rehearse it for my fights, and there's a really good fight scene. So I would give you that. Recently, I have a couple of nice moments on a typical, classical, normal, regular Fox television series, Bones. I'm really good in that show because I'm the classic red herring. Ooh, the creepy guy. Ooh, oh wait a minute. He's not so creepy. He's sweet. He taught Bones how to learn her science, and she was an ugly duckling, and he's not a bad guy. Please invite me back, Bones. I think she's going to marry David. I think she's going to marry David, and it's going to be over. Also, I think I might come back on Supernatural, which would be great because I get to hang out in D.C. Oysters for me and my man.
All right, this is the last question.
The last
Good one.
question.
All right. I see one guy standing up and waving.
Better be about sex. That's all I can say.
My question is, when you first went, what was the audition process like when you
You know, guys, I was starring in a play with George Wendt from Cheers. And George made me go in his audition. He was a bigger fan of Wes Craven than I was. I was hanging out at a weenie, God, you guys remember New Wave? Does anybody here remember New Wave? I was hanging out at a New Wave bar, and there was this great little porcelain punk rock bartender girl, just slightly overweight, and she was so foxy. Remember that word? And on either side of the bar, early, and in the afternoon, which is when most actors are waiting for that call for tomorrow, she was the bartender, and they would have one TV, one monitor, had a continuous loop of David Lynch's Eraserhead. And the other monitor had a continuous loop of The Hills Have Eyes, and Last House on the Left, but it was a video transfer in black and white. So I would like sit there, I was drinking Irish whiskey in those days, and I would go, and look at the other, and really strange. So Wes Craven, I equated with David Lynch then. He was really dark and psycho, and we really, who is this guy? We considered him a really dark artist. So when I got the interview, I was hanging out at a bar with, again, Christopher Lloyd, and George Wendt, and some other guys, and we were all, and I'll tell you, you know what the name of the bar? Bellini's. Swear on my mother's grave. And I remember I had a beat up Datsun 2000, which was called, when it first was imported to America by the Japanese, it was called a Fair Lady. Didn't sell. Guess what? Fair Lady. But the sports car was an MG. But you had to yank the engine to replace the transmission. I had a turquoise, black leather, competition stripe roll bar with backwards tape. Fair Lady. And I drove up to the audition, and in the ashtray was my buddy's cigarette butt, and I took the ash and put it under my arm. I got out, and I lifted the hood, and I took the dipstick out, a little grease on it, plastered my hair back, and made it look real thin. You could see my scalp, and my hairline was high, because I had long blonde Willie the alien hair. Ringlets, I looked like Peter Frampton or Leo Sayer. We gotta go dancing. So, or Great American Idol, Billy Cat. I was like a combo of all three. And I plastered my hair back with these circles on it. I walked in, and I just sat there. Because Wes, and you guys know this, he's been at Expo. Wes, eloquently and articulate all of this story he wanted to tell. This Elm Street fable, fairy tale, dark fairy tale. And I sat there and I listened, but I didn't listen like this. I listened like this. And we used to have a device back then in ancient history during the Roman wars called answering machines. And I punched my answering machine and I got the job. The rest is hysterectomy.